Hello, welcome to Current News. I'm your host, Chris Davis, and today we're going to talk about the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, and we're going to talk about March for Our Lives. Before we get started, I want to say I'm sorry that I haven't been posting videos lately. It's not because I've quit YouTube, it's just I've been crazy busy with my other job. It usually involves me getting up early, getting off at 6, then I have to take care of some personal things, and then I have to go to bed. Then that cycle repeats itself. And making a YouTube video is serious work. You research the topic, you shoot the video, you edit the video, you put whatever graphics in there. It has to render, then you have to upload it, and that takes a lot longer than you think. So I just haven't had time to do that. But I will make sure I at least post 1 or 2 videos a week. I won't be able to commit to 3 or 4, but I can at least do maybe at least 1 or 2 a week. But with that being said, let's get into the story. So last month in March, the New York Times and The Guardian published a story about Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. The story that they published was that in 2016, the Trump administration hired a political data firm called Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica gave the Trump campaign tools to identify American voters, their characteristics, and how to influence their behavior. Cambridge Analytica were able to use these tools effectively because they had access to private information on more than 50 million Facebook users. And what really gave this story a lot of traffic was how in the world did Cambridge Analytica get access to private information on more than 50 million Facebook users? It's now 87 million. But how did they get access to that information? The story details that in 2014, a Russian American psychologist working at Cambridge University by the name of Alexander Kogan developed an app. The way he used the app was that users who sign up have to take a personality quiz. And the way that Facebook's app policy was at the time, that was that if users consent to give their information, they're also letting the developer gain access to the information of their friends who they're connected with. So 270,000 people signed up for Dr. Kogan's app. Dr. Kogan, for whatever reason, gave this information to Cambridge Analytica. We don't know whether Cambridge Analytica paid for the information. Dr. Kogan refused to comment. But when Facebook learned that Dr. Kogan violated their terms of service, they deleted his app off the platform. And they told Cambridge Analytica to delete the data that they got from Dr. Kogan, because Dr. Kogan told Facebook and the users that it was only for academic purposes and not for anything else. Cambridge Analytica responded by saying they deleted the data as soon as they figured out that Dr. Kogan disobeyed Facebook's developer policies. When Cambridge Analytica got this data from Dr. Kogan, because of Facebook's app developer policies at the time, they didn't just get access to 270,000 users, they gained access to 87 million, because the way that the app policy was that developers just didn't get access to the information of the user. They also got information of all the friends that they're connected to. So anyone who used this app and consented to give up their information also consented to give up the information of the people who they're friends with on Facebook. So Cambridge Analytica gained access to private information on more than 87 million users on Facebook. And they use this data to assist Trump in identifying American characteristics and how to influence their behavior. Now, we were able to figure out about this, or at least the New York Times and the Guardian were able to figure out about this because of a young man named Christopher Wiley, a data expert who oversaw the data transfer, blowed the whistle on Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. That's how we all learned about it. But since this story has broken out, Facebook stock has dropped 14%, wiping out all the profits that they made this year. Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, has criticized Facebook on how they handled the data. Lawmakers on both sides of the Atlantic want Mark Zuckerberg and Cambridge Analytica to testify in front of Parliament and a congressional hearing, respectively. Mark Zuckerberg is due to have a congressional hearing this coming Tuesday, April 10th at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I will put a link in the description box below to where you can click on that so you can see his hearing. Yeah, he has a hearing on how he handled the Facebook data with Cambridge Analytica. Since this has happened, people have called this a data breach or a hack, but Facebook has responded saying that users consented to giving up their information, and that's misleading. 270,000 users consented to giving up their information. What about 87 million? So only 270,000 users out of 87 million consented to giving up their information. So you still have a lot of people who had their data taken without their knowledge, and they didn't agree to have their information used for academic or political purposes. So that's the story. I want to give you my thoughts on it. And my thoughts on it is that Facebook was negligent on how they handled the data that Cambridge Analytica obtained. They should have made sure that Cambridge Analytica deleted that data since they gained access to it improperly. I know what they were thinking. They were thinking that they couldn't really do anything about it since they had the data. They could make copies. But in that case, then they should have called regulators or lawmakers to do an audit of Cambridge Analytica to make sure all the data was gone. They should have made sure that Cambridge Analytica couldn't misuse this data. And they didn't do enough to make sure that the data was gone. Now I believe they are. Now I believe that they are hiring a third party to audit Cambridge Analytica. But they should have done that 2.5 years ago, before this story broke out. So those are my thoughts on this story. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Facebook was negligent on how they handled the data? Do you think that they should have made sure that Cambridge Analytica had the data wiped clean? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now I want to transition into March for Our Lives. March for Our Lives took place in March 24th, 2018. And what it was really about was protesting gun violence around the world, especially and particularly America. So this movement came in the wake of a school shooting at Douglas High School in Florida. The survivors of this terrible shooting, they really started this movement. In fact, Time magazine says that this movement is the biggest one in nearly 20 years. What I really like about like this march is that these young people have turned this like tragedy. They've taken this anger, this sadness, this grief, and they've put it into something more positive because of their protesting. Florida, which has worse gun restrictions laws than Texas, or at least I don't think anymore, because of the protesting. They've banned bump stocks. They've raised the minimum age for buying guns. So those are some serious changes in Florida, which had very lax gun regulations. What I also liked about the march was that all of these people were gathering around to support these young people who lost people who they knew and loved, show support for them and for their movement. It was nice for celebrities to use their platform for something positive, to push a movement. Of course, this movement has received criticism. NRA, Fox News, gun advocates have criticized the leaders of this movement, and they've received backlash. I believe Laura Ingraham had her show boycotted and advertisers pulled from her show, and even the NRA has lost deals with like businesses because of their stance on gun control. I do want to point out how the young people who lead this movement are calling out politicians who take legal bribes from the NRA. They're calling them out, saying like you need to listen to the voters, not just the people who donate money to you. So I just want to say, whether you agree with the movement or not, what you have to like agree on is that they've turned this tragedy and are using it in a positive way, whether you're for guns or not. I like how, as I said, they're taking all this anger and sadness and pushing it to something more positive. And that's where I'm going to leave it. That's all we have for today. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Should we have more gun restriction laws? Should we not? Let me know what you think about the Facebook and Cambridge Analytica scandal. Are you going to watch the congressional hearing of Mark Zuckerberg as he explains himself to Congress over the misuse of data? Just let me know. Also, go into the description box and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I have my links there, as well as the link to watch the congressional hearing. And all of you have a great day.